Hey folks, it's Andrew Brown and welcome to the Networking Fundamentals Bootcamp. Running a little bit late, but that's okay, as we're going to jump into it, continuing on with more diagramming. So something similar to what we did last week, but we're going to up the ante and see if we can build something larger in scope. Bako is back with us. Of course, you don't see him, but he's in my ear. And luckily, he has provided us a tech document that we're going to use as a guide to work through, just like we did last time. But I just want to, I don't have slides this week. I don't know why I didn't make slides, but I just want to point out for grading that folks that are feeling that they are behind and can't get caught up, just remember that we do really overload these boot camps. And what matters to me is that you do the best that you can do with the time that you have, right? We all have different time constraints. And remember that the grading is you either get a badge or you don't get a badge. If you can't do 100% of the work, that's fine. Just put in considerations that you're, what your time capacity was, and just try to focus on where you're going to pick up value that you're able to do and what you're not able to do. Some boot campers have all the time, like they make this their 100% the dedication. Other folks are working full-time jobs. And remember, like the grading is private; it goes straight to you. It's no one's going to see your grade or the rubric or the feedback that's provided. It's just to you. And it's very easy to get a badge as long as you do your best effort. So we are going to now, I'm going to pull up my screen here. Now, I'm just question for those in the audience. How's everybody doing? Are you ahead, behind? Is there anything that's been hard for you? Just give me a scale from 1 to 10. How we'll say how far behind you are. So if you're really far behind, that's a 10. If you are at a 1, then you are up to speed. And has anything tripped anybody up in particular? Anything, maybe that cloud formation video that I made? Uh, just curious where people are tripping. Just need time to do the work and document. Yes, yes. Yeah, and so this stuff just takes time, folks, and it's totally okay. Do your best. Do your best to keep up. And even for me, it's challenging. Like I was going through the week 2 content, and I ended up scaling back because I knew that even I couldn't keep up. So again, we just want to learn as much as we can and try to absorb and get exposure to whatever we can. So again, just do your best. And we're here all to learn, right? So the VS Code piece with GitHub, while I appreciate the usefulness, it will provide long term. Yep. The bicep video, lots of pausing and back up 10 seconds. And for those watching the bicep video, I just want to give you a tip that I don't end up really actually being able to deploy it at the end, right? So I go through that whole process, and there's still some challenges there. So sometimes it's more worth it to watch it and then go back. But of course, I'm notorious for that, making videos that sprawl. Tim's, I think, are a lot more straightforward. I know coming into this upcoming week, as we will be utilizing CML, which is the spoiler Andrew alert. Yeah, exactly right. I should really get some boot campers to go through the content, like some alumni to go through it first, and then give people like notes of what's coming up. That probably make things easier. Azure Exports ARM, no bicep. It was a little bit confused. I mean, that's my experience with Azure in general. So. But again, exposure to understanding those tools is important, and the challenges that are there. AWS is straightforward. Azure, a little bit difficult. GCP is its own thing. But as I was saying just a moment ago, what was I saying? I don't remember. But anyway, yeah, just do your best to keep caught up, and sometimes you have to watch a little bit ahead and just look out for those notes where I'm saying like, hey, I didn't get through this, or things like that. And sometimes that shows up in the office hours or in the Discord. So just keep your pulse on stuff, and you might save yourself some time. Maybe you know the ending, but you still get to learn. Well, that's the key thing, right? So again, hopefully people find value, even if things not 100% work as expected. Yeah, CML. That's what we were talking about. So CML, which is the Cisco Modeling Lab. I think we have like 3 videos. Like there's a setup video, and then there's some exercises in there. When I was working through the Cisco Model Labs, I did find it a bit challenging to get set up for accounts. So I just want to tell people that if you're finding it hard to make a Cisco account and to get it running, it was for me as well. But at the end of the day, there are these, I don't know what you call it, but like Cisco's obviously a large company, but when you look at AWS, Azure, GCP, their onboarding process is more modern and streamlined. And, some of these other companies like maybe Red Hat or Cisco or stuff like that, their onboarding feels a bit more 2000
It's old.
2010,
I need to say it. It's old.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So folks, if you find it a bit frustrating to get your Cisco account set up, that's totally understandable. Make sure you leverage the forum support there, as we'll do our best to make sure that you can get through it. And I think one of the boot campers pointed out an alternative. Can't remember who it was.
David, I think. I can't
Oh,
remember.
was it David?
David. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So they had pointed out Cisco DevNet, which is a possible alternative if you can't get it running or you don't have Windows. So look out for those solutions. And again, don't stress it out. I've actually changed the order of the videos so that the CML stuff is at the end of week 2, so that you can get through stuff that's easier and less stressful. But understand that week 2 is a challenge. And again, do your best that you can do. I want to pull up for a moment. I'm just going to get this off screen here. The grading rubric, or sorry, not the grade, but the homework submissions, because I just want to quickly go through it so people understand what my expectations are for it, for those that are being graded. And so you don't get stressed out and feel that you have to do more than you actually have to do. So I'm just going to pull this up. I'm trying to remember where I place this. It's under forms. And I'm going to make my way all the way down to the ground here into our week 1 submissions. And I'm going to go into the form. This is what it looks like in the background. This is our mid panel. I built my own form system. So the first thing I'm going to want is your GitHub repo URL. Make sure you provide the full repo URL in its entirety. Okay. Double check. Make sure that you got that name right. Because remember, I said if you get it wrong on final submissions, like not this one, but if it's week 1, week 2, and then your final, and I look and they're wrong, you're going to have some trouble here. We have the usual weekly stand-up. Now, this is not unusual. We always have this, but I'm just trying to make extra emphasis here that do not provide this in Markdown format, because I can't receive Markdown format. And this is a weekly stand-up. Imagine you're around your team. You're giving your team the update in the smallest concise summary as possible. Underneath it, we expand into these specific things. And technically, technical uncertainty would show up in your weekly stand-up, and these other ones would. But these are areas to expand if there is information to expand. So we have technical uncertainty. We have technical blockers. Anything missing? So things, this is more just asking, like, what do you want to learn for the week? This is more about me asking what you wanted to know. Tech growth. But tech growth, technical blockers, and technical uncertainty, those are the main 3 ones that I'm really interested in that you can do your best to describe. If there's nothing to say, there's nothing to say, right? There's no trick questions here. You don't have to try to like force yourself to write something that doesn't exist. Just answer honestly the best that you can. And you can see this form is very straightforward. If there are any accommodations, considerations, things that are of personal nature that do not relate to technical challenges, like, Tim, give me a doomsday scenario.
A doomsday scenario for technical
like my dog ate my homework.
Okay. My computer exploded.
Your computer exploded because you're utilizing the latest Claude model, right? So, or you're running the labs in your local host as opposed to in the cloud, and for some reason something went wrong. So,
yeah.
But again, accommodation considerations is useful for me to know, because if you're late for any reasons, or you could only do as much as you could because you're managing other things, you can absolutely write it in there. No cloud backup. Yeah, exactly, right? Well, then you really have to work the lie, right? You have to really, it's not only that, but you're running everything in a single AZ, right?
That's
Windows
right.
Windows Update ate my network. Actually, that's the valid one. If you said, I'm sorry, I submitted my work late because I was going through Windows updates, then I would believe you.
We would believe that. That is completely believable.
Okay. Oh, that blue screen of death. I haven't seen it in a while. When is homework submission due? It's due technically today. So basically right now it was already due, but I want to make it clear, again, this is for people that are being graded. So you had to be paid in that grade tier. And it's not that big of a deal if you're late. Okay. Because really, I'm going to look at this at the end of it. So like there's this week, right? And the grading is due. Then next week, there's the second one. And then I'll give you a little bit of time before I do final submissions. I might put in a final submission form. I normally do that. I do week 1, week 2, and then a final form, because you have to do some checks, right? We have some automated checks. I know we're going to do AWS Azure VPC, AWS Azure GCP. Make sure you know how to do those three. But again, don't stress out about it too much, about the timing of submissions, because it just has to all be there when we do grading at the end. Okay. And things have to kind of line up. So if you can make it make sense of your accommodations and considerations, that's fine. If I see everything all packed in on one day, then that's not fine, right? So, figure it out and do your best, okay? We're going to pull this on up here. Just taking a look at the comments here. Azure support is really bad. Meanwhile, perhaps, but better. I didn't care. I switched to AWS. And I don't know. I mean, Azure support's okay, but I think the platform itself could be a little bit easier to use. So here I have this markdown file. Beko's back, obviously, from Greece, and he's had a moment to cut this up. I forgot to take a photo of that darn white box. I forgot to take a photo of that darn white box.
One job.
That one thing I had to do. Everybody wants to know what that white box is. I don't know. Maybe we can get like a 5-minute break or something. Or maybe Beko, do you want to? I'm sure he doesn't. Do you want to run into my house and get a photo of that white box? No, you have the same white box, right? Yeah. Could you just take a photo of it and just? Okay, great. So Beko actually has one, and he's going to send me a photo of it, and then we're going to determine what that is. But until then, let's talk about what we want to do. So for those who don't know, I own a church. Let's go over here. St. Andrew's Church. Well, I don't just own it. The other Beko owns it as well. And here it is. And so our goal, right? There it is. Our goal is to turn this into technology center. And one of our community goals is to offer public Wi-Fi. We probably want to set up a tiny data center in the basement, but the idea is that anybody that is here around the church, at the very least, will be able to have public Wi-Fi. We might build like a enclosed community garden or space that people can enjoy, while it also has free Wi-Fi, right? And maybe I'll build a yatai, and then people can have some yakitori when I don't feel like coding. So anyway, that's the day one goal. But the day two goal is, like, imagine there are businesses nearby. So here's a nearby business, and they want to partner with us to set up a Wi-Fi public mesh, right? Is that the right term, mesh?
It's a mesh if everybody's Wi-Fi is connected to everyone else's Wi-Fi from a backhaul perspective. Okay. You could also just call this like a metro area network, which is really what we're talking about. Metro, like an area.
And actually, right now, if you go to the church, there's the Exam Pro sign right in this box. But it's been 2014. I don't think they're 2024. So maybe next year when they drive by, they will update it. But yeah, I don't know. We might get other businesses to have redundant internet connections, because I'd imagine that it'd be really hard to extend it out. But imagine here, like we have this here, we're going all the way down to the street. This is the main street, right? And let's say we can get the public internet extended over here. So maybe they will partner with us, or this place, or maybe the library over here in the corner, maybe the biker club over here, or maybe on the main strip, right? So there's a lot of opportunities to extend that network and to provide it in core areas. But that's the general idea. So what has Beko been brewing up? And of course, on our side, we're not network experts, but Tim is. And so we're going to try to show what it is that we're trying to build. So corporate LAN, public Wi-Fi with VLANs, captive portal, open WISP, redundant WAN. So a VLAN isolated LAN configuration for providing both corporate. Here, let's get it in the nice view here. For corporate internal networking, wired and wireless, and public Wi-Fi with captive portal access, the network uses open WISP to centrally manage Open WRT AP and supports redundant WAN links with load balancing and forces VLAN-based traffic segmentation. Wow, does it use a lot of networking terms that we've covered in this bootcamp? But to me, this is gobbledygook. So hopefully it's not Tim.
No.
So, but down below here, we have the topology. And if we look at it, we have, this is open WISP. We'll maybe go down here. So we have dual WAN load balancer, the internet uplinks, VLAN cable core switch. Not exactly sure what I'm looking at, to be honest. And actually, Beko finally has a photo of the white box. Okay. And here's his white box.
Yeah. That
doesn't help, does it?
Not a lot.
Bako, does it use lasers? Does it use lasers?
I assume it's tight beam
No,
radio.
he just says it's a wireless bridge.
Yeah, it's a wireless bridge.
He laughed at me about the lasers.
Yeah.
But
okay, so that's facing the window is what this is looking what we're looking at here.
Is that in your office, Bako?
Yeah.
Okay, so he's saying, you know, it's outside his window, so we got it right. Why does it have to be in the windows, or you just think there would be less obstruction for
less
the radios?
interference? Yeah, glass gives very little interference versus like wood and stone and concrete. And
is that the case, Bako, or? Okay, so yeah, he just says direct line of sight for the most optimal connection. But to me, it makes it sound like there's lasers, but it must be all the stuff that's in between. So yeah, my box looks like that. And yeah, they're a
wireless bridge. It makes sense. I don't know what brand that is, but it makes sense.
What brand is it, Bako? Amazon Basics?
Amazon Basics.
Yeah. Yeah, it actually basically said it is. It's like it's some kind of like the recommended no-name brand from
it's like a true white box. Okay.
Literally, yeah. So anyway, so we have some stuff here, and I guess we have more stuff here. So you know, I don't know if any of this makes sense.
It makes sense to me. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. So I'm gonna go over here, and this will be our media server, and we'll make a new one, and this will be our public Wi-Fi / private data center. Okay. So where do we start?
Well, it depends on how big this thing is going to get and how detailed we want to get. So what we would usually do is there would be like what we call a cabling diagram or a matrix. And that would just be more or less a diagram of what network gear and server gear and all of that you have in the data center and how it's connected and where it's connected. And then, you know, since we're talking about public Wi-Fi, like a metro area network, what we would then have is a different diagram where we would have the area that we're going to set up the Wi-Fi in. So you'd have like the church, you'd have the business down the street, you'd have tight beam Wi-Fi radios, like line of sight style radios. But let's start with the data center and see where we get from there.
Okay, so we are inside the church, I'm assuming. So maybe we draw a box for that.
Okay.
And so I'll go back over to here.
Okay.
We'll say church interior.
Okay.
Bring this all the way to the top left corner. Okay, and so we got stuff inside the church. Now, obviously, we must have a modem, right?
Yeah, you have. It sounds like you have two of them actually. What I saw in there was Bako had mentioned in the markdown that you have a load balancer with two internet connections. Is what I saw in there. I think so. You probably have two different modems from two different, or one modem from each provider. If I read that, it was going back by the screen kind of fast, but go back to that.
So Bako says you have it right. Bako says you have it right.
Yeah, I thought I saw that. Yeah, I thought I saw that in there. So you have two providers coming in. They've each given you a cable modem or whatever the hell kind of DSL or whatever their connection is that they provided to you. You have a load balancer. I don't know what it is. I'm assuming it's some kind of an appliance that does the load balancing. But basically, it's got both your internet connections, and it can use either one of them for. I don't know if it's active or if it's like active standby or how you got it up, but usually load balancing implies that it's active, meaning
for those that are saying active, I believe that means like they're both in
use. They're both in use. So if you have active, you have two internet connections and both of them are being used, meaning like if you, Andrew, want to go to the internet, it'll hit the load balancer and the load balancer will use some kind of hashing algorithm. You're going to learn this in week 2, by the way. We talk about load balancing in week 2. You'll hit some kind of hashing algorithm that will point your egress traffic to one of the two default routes out one of the two providers, and it'll know to come back because it's going to use network address translation to translate it to the public IP of that specific ISP that you're going out of. So it'll know to come back to the same way.
Oh, so we'll do ISP1 and ISP2. And so these are obviously external connections.
Yep.
I guess cloud, use the internet cloud.
Yeah, sure. Exactly. That's fine. So I don't know if they're both cable modems, but it's not really that relevant, to be honest with you. It could be DSL, cable, tin can, and string. It doesn't really matter. It just matters that there's two different providers and that they both have supplied you some kind of internet connectivity, modem or something, right? Yeah. And so behind that, connected to that, it's probably, and I don't know, it's not, again, it's not that important, but if Baco happens to know, is it connected to, are the modems connected directly to the load balancer, or are they connected through the switch to the load balancer?
Directly connected.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, there's some kind of load balancing appliance. I don't know what it is. It'll be another white box. And it's called a load balancer. You probably won't find an icon for, you may or may not find an icon for a load balancer, but it's essentially, you can put a server there. It doesn't really matter. It's just some piece of networking hardware that terminates the connections to both internet service providers and then connects to the switch that's going to be behind it. And that's where all your wired connectivity is coming from.
So we have this appliance here.
Sure. Yeah. Call it a load balancer.
Okay.
Because
and we haven't hit a router yet.
No.
Okay.
I mean, technically, no, you haven't. Technically, the modems are routers, but we're not going to get into that. So yeah, so your router, this is, yeah. So then you would probably be connected to your switch after the load balancer.
Okay.
So yeah.
Oh, so apparently our load balancer is a load balancing router.
Oh, okay. There you go. Okay. So there's a functionality on the router. Okay. All right. Then it's the same. That actually, I was going to have to ask you at what point we get the default route and the router involved. So that answers that question. So
sounds like there's a lot of fusion of these things together. Like they just mash them together. Oh, do they really?
For the, especially for like Soho, for small office, home office, they don't sell you like, because you don't need a giant router, right? Like the Cisco would sell you, big old 3U rack thing or 4U rack, router for a little church, connection with a couple of ISPs. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty normal that the small office, home office type providers or vendors will sell a combination device. I mean, you could have probably also even had to do switching if you wanted it to, if it had ports on it. So. Yep. So just connect that to your router.
Yep. Sorry, Baco, is that the load balancer as well, or? But that's not the load balancer. That's just the router.
What's a load balancing router is what you said, right? Like
it's because I'm talking to Baco. And he's telling me we have a Ubiquiti. I keep forgetting people don't hear him, and he's just in my head. And he's a person. It's not just me. Like
I think personally, I think he's just a little. He might be having a psychotic break.
That's okay. But a bit of Fight Club kind of going on there. But what you're saying is a ubiquity.
Ubiquity
router.
Yeah, which one is it?
Yeah, he says it's an edge router.
Oh, okay.
Whatever that means.
I'm not super. I mean, I know what edge router means, but I'm not super familiar with Ubiquiti. Okay. Edge router X. Apparently, it's a thing that they sell. It's a particular model.
Okay.
Okay. This is fine.
Ubiquiti router.
Yeah. Apparently, it's deprecated. Edge router X. Okay. All right. Whatever.
A bit bigger. I can assume yes. I've seen the rack. There's an appliance in there. Okay. So we have. Oh, sorry. Yes. So continuing on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So behind that's going to be your switch. That's going to aggregate your cables for your servers or whatever else you are connecting to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that it's VLAN capable. So it's that means you have VLANs that you care about. Again, VLANs being the network segmentation, the layer 2 segmentation between virtual LANs. So I saw a couple. I saw a corporate one and a guest one, which is what we care about for the purposes of creating a guest network, a Wi-Fi.
Is it possible to use HA proxy as a load balancing router with 2 NICs, perhaps?
I mean, as a router, yes, because it tends to be a Linux box, and so you could do things like set up routing. But like HA proxy itself is not like it's not like a router, if that makes sense. Like it could forward packets, of course, because it does, right? But it's not like, when I think of router, I'm thinking of specifically trying to participate in some kind of routing between networks. So I guess technically that's correct, because it's actually terminating a connection and then, you know, passing it back to a different network. It's kind of it's a hard question. it's one of those tortoises and turtles type of things. Yeah, I would say without routing, like strict routing, yeah, it could still work. You could just be using static routing. It would be fine as long as it knows where to forward packets. It could do that. Yeah.
Okay. So I have my VLAN public, my VLAN corporate. Why does corporate look spelled wrong?
Because it is spelled wrong.
Oh, because it is. Okay. That's because it is.
That's corporate. There you go.
There we go.
All right, cool. So you've got 2 VLANs. I think you actually have more, but again, for the purposes of what we're doing, it's actually not that important. So like you have like, say, VLAN 10 and 20 or something like that, right? So again, the virtual LANs are segmented at the layer 2 level so that a person who connects to your public Wi-Fi has no way to communicate to your corporate computers that are connected to your switch, right? Because ultimately what's going to happen here is connected to a port on the switch that is VLAN public is whatever you're putting on top of the church or the APs or whatever that are providing the Wi-Fi, right? There's going to be a backhaul link for the spire that goes on top of the, or whatever directional thing that you're putting on top of the church. And then there's going to be an access point, like a wireless access point that's going to provide access to the people that are in the church. That's just going to be like Wi-Fi.
Okay, so we need to have just because I'm multitasking here, we need in our Spire, we need to have a Wi-Fi router.
No, so that's going to be like, it's going to be similar to what you've got, like your thing in your window. It's going to be like that. It's going to be a directional. It's going to be a directional antenna. This is the backhaul. This is what we call the wireless backhaul. This is how you're actually going to get coverage outside of your church to another location to provide Wi-Fi at that location. So there's
that thing is called that's a bridge, right?
Yeah, essentially it's a wireless bridge. Yes.
Woo, look at that wireless bridge. There we go. So we have the wireless bridge. 1 second here, and
you're good.
I need to get text. And yeah, I think our providers here is Bell and Shaw. I think Ultraman was asking, and I don't think we really get outages. Biko, did we really gone on any outages here? I can't recall of any. Only on Sundays. Why on Sundays?
On Sundays. Is that when they do the maintenance?
Well, I would assume so. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think we know why, but you know. So we have the wireless bridge here. Okay.
Yeah. Now this is, so now it's getting a little weird because now we're actually mixing up physical and logical separation. So it's okay. It's fine.
Well, but I guess I'm trying to say, like, what would represent the box?
No, that is what you've got is the box, but you put it in VLAN public, so that's fine. But from a physical location perspective, it's going to be like on top of your church or something, right?
Oh, you mean because this is church interior here, and so if I just move this out here,
yeah, you could like do church exterior or something like that. That would probably be fine. Yeah, that'd be fine. And of course, your VLAN corporate is not going to extend to the exterior unless you are broadcasting that SSID outside of the church, which I would assume you're not.
I don't think so. I think it stays within the church here.
Yeah. You need to fix the word church though. I would.
Oh, is it wrong too?
Yep. No worries. You're good. All right, cool. So yes, so your wireless bridges, and you may have more than one because it's directional. It depends, and this is where we get into the other diagram where we talk about what is the layout of your town and where you're going to be putting other wireless bridges. But for now, let's not worry about that, right?
Oh, okay.
Let's go back and put an access point in the church itself, and also let's connect that wireless bridge to the switch.
Okay, so let me drag a line here. How would we want to represent an access point?
I mean, there should be one, but if there isn't,
there's an icon. Okay.
If there isn't, then use that router. Use that router and just call it access point instead. I thought there'd be one. I might be a liar on this one. Okay, so apologies. Just use.
What would it normally look like?
I mean, you've seen them, right? Anywhere you've gone.
Oh, right here.
Usually,
this one's a wireless access point, but you didn't mean wireless.
Fine. No, that's fine. That is a wireless access point. I thought we had one. Okay, yeah. So that you're just going to put that in the church somewhere because that's the physical device that's actually broadcasting Wi-Fi for the church, and that's going
I
to be
see what you're
connected to
saying.
the switch
Okay.
as well.
Oh, and that's why a router would have made sense. Okay.
Yeah, and that's why
or could
also
have-
that wireless router would have made sense.
And this this sets in the VLAN public, right?
So this is where things get weird because depending on
Okay.
the wireless access point you're using, it can actually carry multiple SSIDs, which are tied to different VLANs. So it actually technically would. I like that. Technically it would actually bridge multiple SSIDs. So
Okay.
let's say you're going to have a corporate SSID, like Wi-Fi corporate, and then you'll have Wi-Fi public. And this will be like when you're on your phone searching for the Wi-Fi to connect to. That's what I'm talking about, right? So your access point should broadcast all of the SSIDs that you expect people to use in the location that you're at.
Okay, but we wouldn't have one for each, would we?
You would not have one for each. No. Well,
Okay.
maybe you could. There's nothing stopping you from doing it. It's just not normal. Like normally you would, because the Wi-Fi coverage and signal and everything, you don't want to overlap the bands and do weird stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so from a cabling perspective, that access point would do the same thing that the bridge. By the way, we should be removing the arrows off of all these lines.
Oh, right. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries. Just because it implies a certain traffic flow, and when we're doing is bidirectional, of course. Okay, cool. All right, so yeah, that's basically what we're looking at. I mean, you have other stuff too, right? You have a server. I mean, it's a data center, right? So you're going to have servers or your NAS, your network attached storage, or whatever, just random stuff. You don't have to tell us what you've got in your data center, but there'll be other items in the data center, of course, right? So then, from a connection perspective, just run a cable from the wireless access point to the
do we
switch.
have to represent the VPN connection?
The VPN connection.
Yeah, because I think to get into WISP, let me see here.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with OpenWISP. I'll tell you right up front. I just don't know it very well. OpenWISP management VPN tunnel WireGuard. Okay.
It's just a Linux server running in the cloud.
Okay. What is it? Do we know what it's doing? Like, what is the function that it's provide? Is it the identifier? Is it going to give us the captive portal, or like what does it actually do? I have to look it up. I just didn't know that you guys had this, so I didn't have a chance to look at it.
Oh, Baco's telling me. Just we'll just give him a second. Sorry, Baco, what does it do?
Oh, it's your management console.
Yes.
Okay, it's your management console for all of this. Okay, for the Wi-Fi. Okay, got it. That makes sense. Okay. I don't know if that includes identity. I didn't have a chance to look, but okay, that makes sense. So that's not really necessary to.
Hey, sorry, Baco. What do you think of the SSID being God? No, yes, no, bad. Okay, sorry.
All good.
So people have good ones here. Yep. Anyway,
it's not necessary to demonstrate the VPN on this. This is a physical diagram, more or less. But if you want to logically show it, you could show, hey, here's AWS or wherever running OpenWISP, and you could show a VPN tunnel going to the the wireless bridge or access point or whatever it is that you're connected, whatever's connected.
So let me just get a server out here, and I would imagine that this server would be sitting in our private.
Well, is it? So yeah, I saw OpenWISP and I saw a WireGuard. So you said it was in the cloud. That would make sense. Is it in the cloud,
I know.
or is it in your data center?
Sorry, Baco, where's this? Is it in the cloud? The management portal? Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I mean you've got WireGuard, so it wouldn't make any sense to use WireGuard if it was sitting in your. It's
in AWS. He's telling me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and grab. That's kind of interesting. Now we're bridging to AWS. I was asking him like, why wouldn't it just be in? He told me before, but I was like, why wouldn't it just be here? Where is it bridging into, Baco? To a corporate VLAN or? Oh, it's public facing.
Okay. Does this end up being your captive portal as well? I just haven't had a chance to look into. Okay, that makes sense. I haven't had a chance to look at OpenWISP at all. If I had known, I would have done some pre work. So sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
But that makes sense. So it's also serving your captive portal. Okay, that makes sense.
Because that's EC2 instance. Yeah. Okay. You're saying it's OpenWISP.
Okay. So then what's going to happen? That's why you need the connectivity, the VPN connectivity, because somebody's going to connect to a wireless access point to the guest SSID, and that authentication request essentially is going to go up to OpenWISP, and OpenWISP is going to return a captive portal, which is really a fancy name for a web page that says like, give me your email address or tell me who you are and I'll let you in. And so that back and forth needs to be either encrypted or private. So that's what the VPN, I assume, is for.
VPN's for firmware updates.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, then maybe some part of that runs over the internet instead, and like it has a public open for it.
Yeah, that's what he's saying. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do this stuff, right? There's a huge amount of ways to do this stuff. All right,
yeah,
cool.
Totally.
Okay. So yeah, so you can draw like a dotted line, if you will, to your into your network essentially.
For that connection, what are we using, Bako? Is it VPN Connect? What is it?
It's WireGuard, I think.
WireGuard? Okay.
Yeah.
WireGuard's
just a program. It's just a Linux like program. You can.
Oh, I know. I just like to bring in the graphics.
Oh, you want to bring the logo in? Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
Look nice. If I can get it shot here, 1 second here.
That's fair.
Sometimes. Okay. And so I'm just trying to think here. So yeah, we're using WireGuard. We'll bring that over here. Whoops. WireGuard. And I believe, if you believe, Bako is not actually Tyler Turner. Okay. Oh, Tim. Having too much fun, eh? And I think I can't get through this without spelling every word wrong here. Okay.
All good.
But so we got our WireGuard here, and is that on? This would be on DC2 instance, right, Bako?
Well, it's terminating on both sides, so you have
all the Wi-Fi devices connect to that. How do they? Oh, because it's just a VPN connection, and they just know how to.
Well, I assume there's something in your in the way your Wi-Fi is configured to serve up the.
Point has what, Bako? Oh, okay. So the access points configure via he's saying to WRT, and so it has configuration specifically for it.
Yeah,
okay, that makes
sense. That sounds right.
Right. Okay. So what else are we missing?
I would say this is probably it for the church.
Okay.
Like this is. I mean, again, let me think. Is there anything else? No. This is it. So what you're doing here, right, is the point is you've got the Wi-Fi inside the church, which is, again, you should, well, whatever. You, if you want, for completeness sake, you should cable those devices in VLAN corporate to the switch, but it's fine. Because they're actually physically connected to the switch.
Yep.
But what I want to get across is we have two different kinds of Wi-Fi happening here, right? We have Wi-Fi for users, which is to say you open up your phone, you search for Wi-Fi, it says guest network, and you connect to it. That's the wireless access point. Okay. Wait, I'll wait till you finish.
There we go. Yep, sorry.
Okay, so the wireless access point is actually connected to the switch, like via a connection, a cable.
Okay.
Right, and that's how because it's a physical layer connection that the Wi-Fi can offer internet, because it actually has an internet connection through the switch to the ISP through the load balancer. Okay.
Oh, it's also a PoE switch? Okay.
I don't know if it's a PoE switch.
No, Baker's saying it is.
Oh, okay.
No, he's saying it is. He's confirming, yeah.
That does make sense. I mean, all of this, everything so far he said has made perfect sense to me. So, yeah.
So his design has been good so far?
Yeah, no, it's fine.
It's getting approval? Okay, good.
This is good. Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Because so usually Wi-Fi access points are done with PoE, because where you mount them often doesn't have power available, like wherever you put them in the ceiling or something.
Tim, if I was doing the setup, I would have probably just bought a router and like ran a line to far, and then I would go on Amazon. Like they have like those home kits for like extending your network.
Oh, the Wi-Fi repeater. Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, you got a bunch.
Just daisy chain down the road. Yeah.
Could you do a whole town like that?
No.
No, it wouldn't. Why wouldn't that work?
Multiple reasons. The biggest one is with repeaters, you have to like pick different SSIDs. It also there's just a range problem at the end of the day, right? You wouldn't get across your front lawn to get one of those extenders to work. No.
Well, I just got a lot of them.
It doesn't. it's not like
All right.
it's not. This is the same thing where you like, you know, if you have 9 women, you can't have a baby in 1 month. Like it's kind of that. It's kind of like that.
I
having
don't know what
9
you're trying to say there,
having
Dylan.
having 9 extenders doesn't make the Wi-Fi go further. I'll put it that way. You know.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I think I understand now. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sure. All right. Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's transition now. So yeah, right. Exactly.
Well, isn't there
Dave's
like
got it.
there's extenders, but I thought there was like a new one where they actually set up like a mesh. It's like
Yeah, mesh Wi-Fi.
mesh
So what it
Wi-Fi.
is?
Oh, serious?
Sorry. What mesh Wi-Fi is like Ubiquiti has them, for example. And what mesh Wi-Fi does is it has multiple radios on it, and one of the radios is used to rebroadcast the base station's Wi-Fi, and the other radio is used for users. So it is essentially an extender, but it also provides it's a little bit different is the long and short of it, without getting too far into the weeds here. But yeah, an extender kind of is a bridge. It's a little bit like it, but it's not the same as a mesh Wi-Fi. So,
But these
and,
are. I always think I look at these. I always think like these are for people that are living in mansions, or do you think they're just kind of? Well, no, really, because like when you look at large houses, like
yeah.
celebrities, they have really large houses. So I would think
Hmm.
that they would like, or do they have like a network engineer that comes in and then they engineer this, or this still works for like a like what's a famous celebrity that
I don't know. We're just gonna
uh
start listing celebrities.
how about Brad Pitt's house? Brad Pitt's
Sure,
house.
why not?
Because we're going with
Because
since
we're
we're going
going
with
with the Fight
celebrity.
Club theme. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
like if you
idea.
look at his house, like could he use a Wi-Fi mesh, or he'd need to go full ham? That seems pretty
Well, first of
small.
all, let's excuse the point where like probably somebody as rich as Brad Pitt and has a house like this would probably do wired anyway, but let's wired with base stations basically. So you have multiple ways. You could do this as a mesh. It would work fine. What you would want to do is come in with a Wi-Fi survey, which is the survey is you've got a laptop or something, or even just something you hold in your hand. It could be a phone, whatever. Usually, it has some kind of an attachment and a program that can sniff the Wi-Fi signal, so you can kind of plan out how in depth how deep and how powerful the Wi-Fi signal and the bands are, you know, around your house. Like for example, you know, if it has to go through a foot of concrete, it might not make it through at all. Versus, so you might need another Wi-Fi access point on the other side of that wall, for example.
Mm.
So yeah, Wi-Fi survey is like a whole thing to find the heat map, what they call a heat map of. You can look it up actually if you want to look up
When you
like
say literally
Wi-Fi
heat
heat
map, but
maps.
it's not literally heat. It's just
No, they mean
it kind of
heat
just
by
represents
radio
when we say
signal
hot spots,
density.
like the signal strength in certain areas.
Signal density. That's right.
Is
That's
there
right.
any kind of like tool, like in what's that?
Ac-
Ghostbusters, where they have like the thing, like where's the ghost?
yeah, the PKE meter.
Yeah, is there like a PKE meter for? You know what? I
Yeah,
think I saw. Was it tracer packet?
packet
Um,
tracer or
uh,
oh my god, you did it wrong.
lock.
Yes, track and pacer. You're talking about Lexi. Yes,
Yeah. So
Lexi does
Lexi was had a device
Ekahau.
and was measuring
Hmm.
Wi-Fi signals. Or what's that? It's the TV show Silicon Valley, and
Hmm.
they're at Crunchbase or whatever, or some they're at a Hulu event, and they have a
Hmm.
Wi-Fi strapped to their back, and they're walking around. I don't know. So like
Yeah.
there must be, and then people are trying to detect them with detectors. So there's clearly some kind of thing that detects things, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying,
Yeah.
so like you're talking about Lexi. Lexi has an Ekahau. I forget what they call that particular
Echo, what's it
product.
called?
EKAHAU. It's a company, and they do Wi-Fi. That's like their thing.
Oh, okay.
Why? Yeah. So spectrum analyzer. Thank you.
Hey,
Spectrum
Bako, can
analyzer.
I have one of this? Do we have a reason to get one? Or are they too expensive?
If you're gonna send Wi-Fi all over the city, you probably need one actually. But
Oh,
yeah,
really? Well,
you see
there we
this
go.
the backpack with the phone and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's a spectrum analyzer, and then you just need a screen essentially to look at the software telling you what is the heat map of the Wi-Fi. So this is something you
They're
would
not that
do.
expensive,
The
right?
Sidekick, yeah, Sidekick. Yeah, sure. I'm sure they're very.
When they don't tell you the price,
I was gonna
that's
say
not a good sign.
it's not on the page, so
That's
that you
not a
know it's
good sign.
affordable.
That's not a good sign.
when they
But
say
that's cool
contact
though.
sales, yeah, it is very cool.
But
Um, anyway, so yeah, so that's that. So let's move outside the church. Let's create an external, or we can continue. Actually, no. If you want to do it this way, it's fine. We could keep this going. But
Well, I don't know. I don't know, but I'd be nice to go a little bit more broad and see if there's anything else we can kind of go here. But we'll go ahead and type in Scriber. I can't even spell the town name. I can't spell that, but there we go. There's the town.
Okay.
No, it's an interesting shape from here. But if we zoom in, right? The core of the town, I guess, is here. And we'll go over to here.
Is that a river? What is that in the middle there?
Oh, that's the train station.
That's a train station.
Yeah.
That's a train depot.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. For those who don't know, I live both in Baco and I. We both live. For people to know exactly where we live, I'm right over here. See this? Actually, this is the lot. This is where the Tory Gate is, and then this is the train station. And there's trains here constantly. And actually, right now, there's trains here parked with people living in trains for the summer. Yeah, it's just train city. Everyone thinks I work for the train. I don't. They don't know what to say when I say I don't work for the train. They're like, "What do you do then?" I'm like, "I don't know, internet stuff." But yeah, that's trains. There's
you have people living in the trains for the summer?
Well, what they do is they're called what's it called? Chain gangs. It sounds weird calling them chain gangs. They're maintenance workers, right? So they bring them in, and then they do maintenance, right? So but they stay there and
essentially temporary housing, basically mobile housing.
Yeah, it's mobile housing, right? And
wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
They take it down to a work site, so they just stay there during the it's just parked there for some time. Anyway, but we'll go back over to here and back to our map here.
Yep. Okay, that's yeah. Yeah. Okay. So also Andrew's on stream doxing himself, so
that's true. That's true. Anyway. Come bring me some Turkish delights or coconut water. I like both those things.
No,
but anyway, who's gonna come describe her? Really? Unless we have unless we set up a party here where we have some accommodations. Yeah, maybe we can borrow the trains and people can stay on the trains.
There you go. And roll them away when you don't need them anymore. There you go.
That's true.
Okay, so let's move to the left a little bit. So you got the church exterior. So actually, I can't see.
So the church is here.
Okay, so like
Sabrario's, the hardware store is here. This is the main street, right?
Okay.
And so I guess the question is like, if you are partner, I mean, like I think Sabrario's would take a bridge. They would put, or whatever you want to call. Is it a bridge?
Mm-hmm. It's a bridge. Yeah.
So I'll just get my little diamond out here.
Okay.
And we'll make a little color, and we'll see where we could drop this.
Yeah. So you're going to be restricted by a few things, and it's going to have to do with the height of the spire where you're going to put it, basically on the church, and also the height of the other areas you want to place these on, the bridges on, because it's going to be directional antenna. This is your backhaul. This is literally what we call it, backhaul, because this is the actual.
So Baco just tells us we have the tallest building in town.
That's terrifying. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you have the tallest, but that's actually good, right? Because what it means is that when you set up the directional antennas, you can essentially direct them over a wider area and not have to worry about interference. Because with line of sight radio, I used to work at an ISP. This was 20 plus years ago, and we were rolling out for businesses. We were rolling out directional like Wi-Fi as a service, essentially like this. And as I worked in the network operations center at the time, and if a storm came through, if a tree started shaking, like you would notice there would be impact to the connectivity between any 2 points of the setup there. So there's a few things we need to consider. First of all is obviously line of sight, just like Baco had mentioned. The other one is distance, right? So this looks like a tiny town. Honestly, distance probably is not something you have to worry about here.
Well, let's find out. Let's get a bit of an idea. So here we'll do St. Andrew's Church, Winnipeg Street. And one of the farthest ones like that we could partner with would be the Golden Rail. So we'll go here to the Golden Rail.
Okay.
Right. And the distance here would be 500 meters. Okay. So from here to here.
Okay. From where to where? Sorry.
From the St. Andrew's Church to here. Whoops.
Okay, so the top of that picture, basically.
Yeah, this line's not letting me do what I want. Okay, let's switch this over to this. There we go.
Okay. Oh, okay. There's 500 meters. That's fine. Most of your high gain antennas can do kilometers. So
What, really?
yeah,
Okay.
at least 1 kilometer, multiple potentially. But what matters is where you're going to mount that needs to be higher than the surrounding area. It needs to be high enough to receive the connection. Essentially, there can't be a huge building in the middle between that line of sight. Basically, right? You don't want there to be a giant building somewhere between that line, that line that you
Okay.
put
Or like,
together.
could we just get like a rod and just
Yeah,
hook
so
up on
that's
a
what I was
rod?
saying. Yours being the highest in town is good because it's very unlikely, or less likely, should I say, that you're going to have clearance problems where you. But that is how people solve that problem. By the way, they jack up a spire, not spire, a rod essentially.
Baker, do you think we need a rod, or you think it would make it?
And also, is this flat ground or is there a slope or
Well, I'm
what do
just
you
as
have?
an example, Baco. It doesn't have to go there, but it like that'd be ideal. Why? Why? Where did you want this to go? Just around the church? He's just talking to me.
That's yeah. I figured.
Okay. Oh yeah. I'm just being Baco's just going, Andrew, you already put it all the way out here. And I'm like, well, it's just for fun, but basically saying we have line of sight to here and to here into this
Yeah.
area. So here,
Okay.
this might be a little bit more of a challenge. Like I
Yeah.
would probably
Okay.
have to put it up on a rod to get there, but
Okay.
I'm just trying to test the extremes here to see what's feasible.
Yeah, so what you have to what you have to care about, right? What you have to care about here, and you don't have to care about crazy stuff. Like you don't have to worry about the curvature of the earth or something crazy like that
Okay.
because there are situations where that would be a thing you'd have to concern yourself with. But generally you would use like high gain directional antennas. You would point them, they're like line of sight, like Bako said. And then the receiver actually tends to be more like almost like a fan to catch the essentially catch the signal. I don't know how else better to say it, but
Okay.
and then yeah, so that becomes your essentially the equivalent of running a high speed connection. Like if you were going to trench fiber between those two locations, that's the physical layer radio wave version of that. And so what's not going to happen if you just set those two items up, like you put one on a pole, you put one on your church, you connect them, and they connect. Nothing's happened yet. Nobody gets Wi-Fi, right? The only
Okay.
way somebody gets Wi-Fi is if at the far end
Mm-hmm.
somebody sets up a wireless access point, right?
Yeah.
Because the
Yeah.
directional antenna has nothing to do with the wireless access point. So that's what you're going to do, right? You're going to daisy chain or however you want to do it, and along the way, along the spots where you're doing this, where you're putting these, you're going to probably want to put an access point, in that location
Okay. So it's
to
not
provide
just
the
enough to
Wi-Fi.
have a device on a rod. You also have to have
Yeah,
something
it's a, it's a,
plugged in with power that actually has the means to
to
send a
deliver
signal.
Wi-Fi to everybody
But it
else.
doesn't have to
Yes.
be hooked up to the internet from those other locations.
No, that is the point. The point is that it does not have to be. Yeah, that's
Now,
the whole idea.
now, Big was telling me before. He's like, well, depending on how far you want, like how much is on the network, then you might need additional network connections.
That is
And
correct.
how would that work if they don't have the same kind of infrastructure as us?
It wouldn't.
It
Like,
wouldn't.
I
Okay.
mean, they would have to build. They'd have
Oh,
to
it'd
get
be
a
redundant at our
switch.
source, Biko?
Yeah, like you would set up multiple. You
Okay.
could set up multiple antennas. Like, because I mean I mean, with all radio, the speed and the reliability goes down over distance, right? Over distance and over weather conditions. So, yeah, what Pico's saying is accurate. That if you essentially have like one link, first of all, you have no redundancy, but I don't know if resiliency is not something you're worried about anyway. But yeah, if it's 500 meters, you're honestly probably not losing that much. If we're talking like a mile, like some of these things go miles. Or can go up to a mile or whatever. I forget all the numbers these days. But that you start to have drop off. The signal starts getting weaker, and your throughput goes down. So you do need to pay attention to how many users you're expecting,
Okay.
right? And I assume Scriber's not.
Well, if
Doesn't
there's
have
1,000 people here, then you can only imagine that you get half that number or two, like that, because again, it's an elderly population, and then
Yeah.
I can't imagine everybody online. Maybe there was 1,000, but let's say there was 1,000 people, and we wanted full coverage. Is that too insane to do a coverage of this town from this church? Or we'd have to, are we
I
paying,
mean, so you have to start at no. It's not that it's insane. You have to think about things like coverage, right? So in a corporate environment, like in your in a enterprise environment, like in a building, they will stack Wi-Fi. It's not on top of each other, but they increase the number of access points to increase the amount of radios that can service users. Because Wi-Fi is what's called a half duplex. Wi-Fi is like half duplex, and it's what that means is that only one user can be using a radio at a time. Now, Wi-Fi does it very well by juggling all the users. But yes, one user can only be transmitting or receiving at a single time through the Wi-Fi access point. So not a problem when you have 10 people. It's very easy at switching back and forth. When you have 1,000 people or 100 people, you need more wireless access points. You need more radios to service those users.
Okay. Cool. So now from a architectural standpoint, like how do we beef this up? This diagram.
How do you beef it up?
Yeah, how do we beef it up? IP addresses, other things.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. I honestly, this diagram's getting. I would probably add IPs where it matters, which is to say, like, you don't really need to worry about the IP of your wireless bridge necessarily, or like your load balancing router, and you just need to know things like where's my. You may or may not need to know the public IPs of your internet connections. It depends on whether or not you have to do anything like. From a load balancing perspective, it may matter. Like, for example, let's just throw something out there. Like you want to provide Wi-Fi connectivity, but you want to provide Wi-Fi connectivity to certain people who are on the Wi-Fi. You want to provide connectivity to a service, like a SaaS service or some other service through your Wi-Fi. Maybe that SaaS service only accepts connections from certain whitelisted IP addresses, and so you'd want to make sure that all of the possible connection IPs are covered. And since you have multiple internet service providers and they're using, I meant like out in the internet, true SaaS, but that would work as well.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so. You would want to make sure that if those IPs have to be allowed, that you would want to have them demonstrated on the diagram. So really, it comes back to like what needs to go on a diagram to make it not too busy, but to have relevant information that a person looking at the diagram needs to know about the setup, right? Without trying to just like vomit a bunch of stuff onto it. So, like for example, it may be important, and it's not.
So Tim, are you talking about ACLs?
No, I'm not. I was thinking, I guess kind of, because SaaS providers would be using something like security groups or some kind of access control list or something on their side to allow certain IPs. So it's kind of, I guess I technically am talking about access lists. But that would be something you wouldn't control, right? That's something that the SaaS provider's doing, and you have to give them the IPs that you might be connecting from. So that's when it would matter that you have multiple internet connections, as an example. So from a cabling perspective, if you are the person who is responsible for cabling plant, meaning that you're going to be replacing cables when they break, you're going to be doing all the cabling, you may want to add port numbers and port information to these connections, as an example. It depends on what you're trying to convey and the level of detail that you're trying to get. Not every diagram necessarily should be just have every possible, thing vomited onto it. It just depends on what you're trying to do.
Imagine I get my hands on an AI accelerator and I want to offer that as a how like there's Amazon Bedrock or OpenAI, or like to serve it up as a Canadian sovereignty thing. How would I deliver that from a network perspective?
Okay, we talk about like you have the actual model or application or whatever. AI.
I literally have a server. Like I have a server, so you can buy, let's say, like what's the brand we like, Bako? Dell. So you buy like a Dell workstation, and it has in an HV100 or something, which is just a big graphics card that's super fast, right? And I want to offer this. We're not really getting graphics of it. HV100 graphics card. Okay. Well, anyway, we all know what it looks. We know what graphics cards look like, but the idea is that we have a machine. It has eight graphics cards in it, and it can be utilized to do AI inference for people in the region. So people in Northwestern Ontario, So not
Mhm.
the world, but just nearby
Yeah.
towns, maybe for
Yeah.
their their offices and things like that.
Yeah.
So what would I need to do to make that like a public offering, or like to them,
Yeah.
like they connect via a
No, it's fine. So
VPN
what
or
no, we can make this actually a lot easier.
okay.
So let's say if this were the case, there's multiple ways to deliver it, but let's assume we're going to deliver it like this, like they're going to do it over the public Wi-Fi, and that's how you've made it available to them because we already have that all splatted out here. What you would do is put some kind of front end, like a proxy or like a proxy or a load balancer or something public facing that's in the public VLAN in the public VLAN that's accessible. That if people look it up on the internet, there's a DNS, or actually they could use if you have DNS available as part of your VLAN public, you could have a DNS record for it, whatever it is, and when they type in www. St. Andrews AIinference.com, the front end of that IP would send them to that IP of the load balancer or the proxy or whatever it is, right? And so they can connect to that, and then what's actually going to happen on the back end is that you're going to essentially allow connectivity for that device through to your corporate network to relay the connectivity through it.
Now, Tim, if I wanted to have drone service because we have the Spire, and let's say we cut a hole in the top of the Spire, and we can fly up the drone and out, maybe like make the doors open, and then we can drop. We can do like hot dog. We don't want to do coffees, but like hot dog delivery service.
Maybe not coffee.
Okay. Maybe not coffee yet. Not to start with, until we figure that out.
Yeah.
But, they just got to hold their cup and it just pours it. But but I mean, like if you had a drone would it need to have a Wi-Fi connection? And like, if we wanted to stay on our network, would that be possible? Or if it's a moving target, would that not work?
I'm trying to think. I would say probably not, just because what I know of drones is that they have dedicated bands for like, controlling them. Like they have actual controls that you would use. But I mean, are you saying, could you do it via the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
If your Wi-Fi coverage extended to wherever you were delivering, and the application you used to control the drone had connectivity to the drone over that Wi-Fi, then yeah, I see no reason that wouldn't work.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be the main thing would be the brownouts, right? Like what does the drone do if it enters a area where there's like weak coverage, or it can't, you can't control it because you've lost connectivity to it? Does it dump the hot dog for the animals?
Well, you know what? I think what you'd have is you'd have a little catapult, and it would just do its best. It would go
just aim in whatever direction I was heading, just fling it that direction and hope for the best. Okay, yeah, but that's true for any of these like IoT type.
Pangu, come on! I just wanted to make drones for hot dog delivery. Okay, I have no other alternative motives to build up Canadian infrastructure. Due to some impending possibility. Okay.
Yeah. No. Well, there was a movie. It was like years and years and years ago. I think John Candy was in it, and it was called like
Uncle Buck.
It's about a theoretical invasion of Canada by the U.S.
Oh, right. I actually haven't seen that one, but I've heard about it. Yeah.
They called it Operation Leaf Blower.
Yeah, I don't think the movie did well.
No, I imagine not.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I don't think it's a good movie. That's why that's why it's not in my, like, I know most of Candy's movies, but that one is just not.
I don't think there's no, anyway, it didn't stand the test of time.
Yeah, Canadian Bacon, that's the name. Yeah.
Canadian Bacon, that was it. Yeah, that was it. Okay. So yeah, this is good. I would say from a connectivity perspective that we're covered. The main takeaway for Wi-Fi is that, I would say, just to summarize, right? There's the Wi-Fi, you need backhaul links, which are not ones that people can connect to.
Oh, wait. Tim, do you not have pogos?
No, we don't have pogo. We obviously have hot dog on a stick, but it's not.
But it's not called a pogo.
No, it's not pogo. I'm sure it's very different.
In my house, like literally, we have like pogos like all day, every day. That's all my kids eat, and I know. I thought everyone had pogos.
No, so to be fair though, I have the oh, what's it called? We have fairground or something. They have some American version because you get them at the fair usually, or with like
Okay,
fair food.
sure.
And when my kids were younger, like your kids are, we had boxes and barrels and pickle jars full of them, of those two. They were just all, my kids loved them. So anyway, but yeah, so that's the main thing, right? Wi-Fi is different for the users than it is for the backhaul. The backhaul can also be Wi-Fi, but it is not like servicing people, right? It's not. It's like a big cable, equivalent of a big cable. So that's the big takeaway I would take from that.
Okay. Anything else we need to do with our diagram?
I would say, I mean, again, it comes down to what a person looking at the diagram, what is it that we want to make sure they know? And in this case, I think it's probably good, just because we haven't identified a specific need, for it. I think, yeah, you don't want to clutter your diagrams. That's a big one. You don't want to make your diagrams too noisy, because then you can't figure out what actually is important. You're assuming everything on the diagram is important. And so you're asking questions like, why is this here? Like, what is this doing? Why do we need to know about that?
Okay. So I remember before in our last diagram, we made these dots and then we did this thing. Should we be doing that in this diagram as well?
Well, the dots, I think, was just a logical, or literally was just your house, right? That wasn't, I mean, we could do that for the church.
Well, I'm trying to say, like, we need to explain, like, if someone look at this diagram, is this enough for them to know what's going on? Or do we need to add those?
I think so. I mean, I'm looking at the diagram and I'm trying to think. Obviously, I helped make it, so it's a little harder to put myself in the mindset of someone who's never seen it before. But I think that this should be fairly simple. The only thing that may not be clear to someone looking at the diagram itself is that on the right, what the diamonds and all of that are, like how that maps to the part of the left. So maybe you could draw a line from wireless bridge to, or something. Mark wireless bridges on the left side with your St. Andrew's Church on the right side, so that you can tell that that's the same device.
Oh, sorry. Do what now?
So like your wireless bridge there, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's there, but
yep.
These are like two different diagrams, right? This isn't like one cohesive diagram.
Oh, because I put them outside of a box?
Well, because the wireless bridges the wireless bridge doesn't actually connect in any way to the right side. Like so what we would usually do, if we're going to show like a satellite view, what we'd usually do is have some kind of legend where like we take the wireless bridge and we make it a certain color, or we draw a line around it or something, and then we do that and we move that to there, or we just take the icon and put it on the map. That way we understand that these are related diagrams and in what way they are related.
And I've now lost all. Oh no, they're there. I lost all my lines. Hold on here.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know. It's acting a little bit funny. So go here. We'll copy this. Now I see what you're saying. Okay, so I'm going to color that green. Terrible colors. Green's probably the worst color for this, but I'm going to do it anyway. We'll just zoom on in. And I think Dee was mentioning Hawkins as well. Has anyone ever had Hawkins? Have you seen this before, Tim? No. Hawkins?
We have cheesy poofs or whatever we got. I don't.
But these are like, these are hard. These are hard.
Oh, those are the Cheetos. Those are Cheetos. Yeah.
Cheetos. Yeah, we have Cheetos here too, but then we also have like, this is the Canadian brand called Hawkins.
How are they different?
They're better. They're just,
oh well.
No, I don't know. They're I don't know. Like, actually, you know what? I actually have in my house, I have both Hawkins and I think I still have some Cheetos left over from like, I don't know. Like,
I mean, you might be right. They might be better. I've just never had them.
I don't know. They're just different. Oh, wait, there we go. They're way better than Cheetos. Sure.
I honestly, I believe it. Some of the American snack food is like they've taken the quality out of it in the same name of saving money, and so like the ingredients are just crap. So I totally could believe that. Absolutely.
But, nothing beats the Thunder Crunch. I want to try out that Thunder Crunch. Thunder Crunch. Oh, was that a that's
ice
that
cream?
Japanese one. No, that's that Japanese.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about this.
So for those who don't know, both Tim and I are going to Japan at the same time. And I've seen this chocolate bar called the Thunder Crunch, and I really want to try it out. But we'll see if it's any good. We have Watsits.
Huh, interesting.
Like the name makes you think like, what is Watsits? Oh, okay.
Watsits. I'm sure that's why it's supposed to be. Yeah. You know, I was in London a couple months ago and I never saw that. I went to a Tesco's and everything. I did not see Whatsits. Huh.
So I guess a question, because this is totally related to networking here, but
Yes,
around
very.
the world, for where you are, what brand is Cheesy's for you? That's what I'd like to know.
The cheesy, snacky thing like
Or
this.
cheese puffed. I don't know what the generic name
Puffed
of all
corn.
this,
Puffed corn
or the
product.
closest thing to this. I'd love to know.
Yeah.
You just
Okay.
opened a Japanese store around the corner.
The Thunder Crunch. Good luck. I haven't seen them in the U.S. at least. But yeah, good call. Good.
I'm not sure if people hear. I have there's an air compressor going off. My roofing is being roofed right now. But do you hear it, Tim, or no?
No, I don't hear it.
Oh, okay, good. From networking to grubbing, junk food. Well, I mean, you gotta get through the day somehow, right?
Yeah, you gotta. Yeah.
No one's bringing me salads, that's for sure.
Yeah. Actually, I don't snack very much. I know this is not relevant, and we should probably move on. But I don't actually snack that much during the day. I'll be honest.
No, we're definitely not burning time till Jason gets here. But
Jason. Oh, Jason. Jason is here. Jason's here.
Friend Jason. Well, he's in the comments right now, but Jason's going to be here at 1:30, folks. We're going to spend the last 30 minutes trying to
right,
our career stuff. But I'm just trying to figure out. Oh, what's Kirkin?
Curry puffcorn.
Curry. Oh yeah.
Interesting.
Actually, they might sell those in mine. No, I don't know. Definitely stuff like that. Curry.
Masala munch.
Oh, your work wasn't working for the stream. It's because I keep changing the link. That's why. Here, I'll get you a link here, and we'll get Jason in here. Wants to come in.
Jason, he did that to me too. He was like, "You're late." I'm like, "I'm trying." He's like, "Oh, I gave you the wrong link."
It's not my fault. It's still your fault. We'll just we'll give a moment here. I'm going to drop Jason a link, and there we go. Yeah, you know what, Jason, you ended up in the other one. I don't know. I checked it like 3-4 times, and you know what? I still ended up clicking the wrong one. But Jason will be here in just a moment. Cheese Triz. That sounds good. I want to see this one. Yeah, they look pretty similar. Yeah. Yeah, that's. I thought we had. Kirk. I've seen it before. Yeah, but I didn't see a cheese one. I know they have a lot of varieties there, but we'll give Jason here a moment to fang dangle back in here. I sent it to you on the Twitter platform there, Jason.
Should we just ask since we're waiting on Jason anyway, should we ask if anybody has any questions about what we did? I hope it's clear to everyone. And wireless is not clear. It's one of the more murky networking technologies. But are there any questions that we didn't explain well, or I didn't personally explain well as far as how it works?
Well, anyway, we'll see if we have any questions there. Until then, we're going to hang out and hot fries are a good one. Yeah, see. What are hot fries?
Oh, hot fries. Yeah. They're like the Andy Caps ones or whatever. Like I've seen. Oh, Charlie Chester has them too, I guess. Yeah. There's Andy Caps ones. Yeah, they're just potato. They're like potato sticks that have I hesitate to even say spicy.
Oh, you want the Tory gate in the diagram? I mean, like the only place I could put the Tory gate, because it's all the way actually down here. It's just right cut out of the frame. Do we have a Tory icon?
You did. Just grab it from the other one.
I am really tempted actually to build another Tory gate in our actual church area, because I think it'd be cool to have a Japanese garden.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I'm gonna have to convince Baco to let me do that. So, but technically, there's a Tory gate here. Actually, right here it is. There's the Tory gate. But yeah, if we can get another Tory gate right here, the church, that'd be pretty cool.
So there's a question in the chat. How would you present?
Right, that's not where it is, Baco. Oh, is it down here? Oh. Really? Okay, sure. So the Tory gate's more here. Baco's laughing. He's like, "That's not where." I thought this is where the street ended, but I guess it extends over to here, right?
So, oh, that's your lot, yeah. Somebody was asking, how do you present data flow using diagrams? So obviously in this diagram, I would use, and I'll just do this real quick because I know you've got Jason. Usually what I would use is a different color arrow with actual, like I've been telling Andrew, remove all the arrows from the lines because it's bidirectional. If I was showing data flow diagramming, we would do it kind of like we did last time, where we had the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, whatever, to show the flow. But I would use a different colored line, and I would use arrows to show the flow direction of the flow. Okay.
I'm always up to strange things. Oh, yep. And hi, Jason. Welcome to
Oh,
the
hey.
stream. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were in the blue room or green room or
Don't worry
the
about it.
ice
I
box.
was honestly enjoying the chatter about snacks. So that was great.
And while we keep on that topic, what's your go-to?
I don't, I don't I'm kind of in the same boat as Tim. I'm not really a snacker. Um I fast. I do a lot of fasting, so I only really have like one meal a day, and then I have something sweet at the end of the night. That's how I treat myself. So
What?
usually it's like Sour Patch Kids, but on the weekends we do ice cream.
My kid loves my youngest loves Sour Patch. She
Oh
loves
yeah.
everything sour, and that's her thing. I do
Oh
the
yeah.
same. It's funny. I don't fast, but I do the same thing. Where I at the end of the night, at the end of the day, usually I'll let myself have
Yeah,
something sweet.
usually some kind of like protein. Like I'll have some small protein during the day, lots of coffee and water, and then dinner. So
So Tom's asking, do we have to replicate this? No, this is like for week one. I want you to do it because that one is a lot more prescriptive and the things you can put it in. This one is just more to have a more general conversation with Tim to understand what would we do this at scale. It's something that is more commercial or something that is a bit larger scale. So no, we're just learning and experiencing things here with Tim. This thing that we just saw here, you do not have to architecturally diagram this unless you want to, but I think it'd be a little bit hard to step through all that. Though I did put in the repo over here into week 2 the preview specs. So if you do want to kind of dig into it and try to figure out what the moving parts are, you absolutely can do that. But again, that's not going to make a whole lot of sense. So let's switch gears and talk about careers. And so I'm trying to remember, like we have a collection of things, but I do know that we want to try to present our information a little bit better. So I'm going to make our way back over to here.
mhm.
And I'm going to close out some of our tabs here, and we will go over to repository. And so I just keep thinking there has to be ways that we can. Obviously, this is not acceptable, but there has to be way. Will I get the job? Do I do the job with this amount of information?
Short answer is no, maybe. It
Maybe.
depends.
Okay.
It depends. I like what I just wanted to touch on what Tim had actually just mentioned about like the arrow directions and things being like going certain ways. Like there's certain standards that are used to compose these drawings or schematics, and I think it's super important to understand those nuances because it's stuff like that that when you're talking to Tim is going to really like show your credibility, show you understand what you're doing. So going through all these, when you hear Tim or Chris, it's Chris, I believe, that was here last week too, and Andrew mentioning specific details like that, definitely document it because those are the little things that I think a lot of people miss. Like you might understand like a large, like high level explanation, but when Tim tries to pick holes in it, and it's those little things that you can answer, it gives you so much more credibility. Tim, confirm or deny? I see you nodding. I just
No, yeah, 100%, man. Like, no, especially with networking. And I know it's the same with application development actually as well. But really, any two systems that talk to each other, you need to be able to show how that happens and be able to kind of, like you said, explain it and defend it. Yeah.
Let's see if we can improve it because technically I do have proof of work that we did in week 1, and there's no reason I can't uplift it to show folks what I'm doing here. So it says we can easily embed YouTube videos into Markdown content. I'm not sure if that's actually true or not, but let's find out. If anybody knows in the comments, if you can, I'd love to know. I just cannot remember. If you can't, it's not possible to embed directly, but you'd have to do an image. So that's what I figured we'd probably have to do. So what I'm going to do, imagine you already have your video and you want to get this placed in here. I'm going to go ahead and we are going to put in an image. And so I need to go grab this thumbnail wherever it was. Where were we here just a moment ago? So here, and there's a service out there. It's like YouTube grab thumbnail. Yeah, Boing Boing used to have it for the longest time. And so now I have this thumbnail. I'm going to go ahead and grab it over here and just name it off screen here. So this would be my video tech demo. And I'm going to go back over to my repo here. And I suppose I need to place this somewhere. Where could I put this? I suppose I will just make something called assets because this will be my top level one. I suppose you can name it however you want. We'll drag that asset into here. We'll go over to here and let's put that image in there. I always forget if it's the square braces are the the image or not. I think it's the second one that actually will display the image. So we'll go over to here and let's take a look and see if we can actually see something. No, if it's not that, then maybe it's squares and then parentheses, folks, here. Well, let's see if we can kind of shape this up to make it look like something good. Oh my goodness.
Broken link.
I got it backwards again. So if it's not that, then this is parentheses like this. There we go.
There
okay.
it is.
So what I'll do is I'll bring this on up here. So now I have a technical video. I think I had something else here that I might have deleted by accident. Technical justification. Did I take that out? I did. So I'm going to go over here for a second. And I'll just copy that back in here. I don't want to lose that. Now let's see if we can see how much we can shape this up in the next 30 minutes. And hopefully we can get a feedback loop here with Jason, what he likes to see. So yeah, I have the image here and I should probably link it to the actual video. So I do have a link here. And so this
Ramsey says you can embed them.
I have a feeling you can. I just don't know how.
Just not sure, yeah.
Usually like it's GitHub flavored markdown. So if you go over to here, like GitHub flavored markdown over here, they would normally like tell us here. So if we look here, do we have like maybe we can do raw HTML or YouTube? Do you type YouTube or video? What job profile would the bootcamp be aligning us for? I mean, for this in particular, I guess it would be networking, right? Networking engineer, Tim?
No, I
no.
The reason
sorry, no, of course not. No, it's too far from that.
It's like way off. I would. I'm sorry to cut you off there. My personal belief is that I tried to aim for every tech profile touches networking in some way, and so what I tried to do was include stuff wherever you are in tech, understanding what we're teaching is going to be useful for whatever job profile you're doing. Hopefully.
Okay, so remember how to do this. It's been a while. Oh, there we go. Yes. So it's just nested like that. Okay, so we'll go over to here. And we'll bring it on over. And
you weren't that far off. You had the right symbols, just
hey, you're mostly there.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead and do this. So for those in the audience who has been working on their actual page here, and has anyone made any leeway with it? Is this something that people are going to leave till the end to figure it out? If you click on and share and choose embed, I mean, we can try that. I just don't believe it. So what I'll do is I will go up to the actual YouTube video itself. And here there should be like a share link here. And we'll go to embed. Did everybody hear about builder.ai? Anybody hear about builder.ai? What happened with them?
What happened? Oh,
they went bankrupt.
Is that where they found out it was just a bunch of developers like working for $1 each or something like that?
Well, I mean, I don't think they're working for $1 each, but the point was that they were using generative AI to produce the code.
Yeah.
Then they still needed developers behind the scenes to actually make the code usable.
That's what it was.
And it's frustrating because people keep saying AI is going to take my job, but it seems that there's still people massaging the stuff to make it even work. And even for myself, but we'll go ahead and we'll do a test here. Test if this will allow us to see the video. If it does embed it directly, now that I'm thinking about it, I think I've seen them in GitHub, the GitHub profiles, but we'll go ahead and take a look here. No. So I think what it needs, is you just have to do an image because I don't think it'll work that way. So, but we tried.
It was a good effort.
Yeah, basically, it was Mechanical Turk with the front end. You know what? I actually saw that somebody, this is really early, but this is like 4 or 5 years ago. They were charging it was like $100 per task for like a personal assistant to do something for you, but they framed it as AI. This is where before even LLMs were there, and then there was just a person behind it, and they were making money. So
what about the Amazon, walk in, grab what you want, and walk out stores or whatever, and then
that didn't work out?
Well, no, what ended up happening is that all that wonderful facial recognition technology and everything that's supposed to figure out what you're buying, it ended up just being a room full of people that were watching the video. And
was it?
Yeah,
well, but I guess the point is they have to prove the concept first before they build the stuff, right? but maybe they couldn't build at the end, or it wasn't costing.
I don't know. Yeah, I forget what the name of those stores were, but yeah, they still there's yeah.
I remember those. Yeah. Andrew, you brought up a point about people kind of waiting to build this out at the end, perhaps. I think it would be a good lesson in iteration that people are at least starting it and working through it each week to either add or remove things as we kind of come up with new ideas. It just, again, is proof of work. And I think a lot of points will be brought up over the course of the couple weeks that you're not going to remember at the end if you're not really documenting every single moment. So it could be a good skill to just take on, that you are, again, sort of following like a regimented documentation of the process for yourself. That also just helps with like content creation. Each week when you are building this out, like you're then putting together a piece of content that you can speak to about what you learned each week, which again is just covering surface area of exposure. More people are seeing what you're doing. And again, it's proof of work. So that would be my suggestion as far as that. And yeah, it was Amazon Go.
And so here I'm trying to be descriptive of what it is, because some people don't have time or they want to have context of what it is that you're doing. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out what would be valuable to load this up in the front here that might actually matter. Now, I didn't really describe what I'm doing in it, which probably that would be more useful in terms of a descriptor. But again, I'm going to go ahead here and just try to write. So in this video, I architect a local, I mean, basically everyone else does the work, but I architect a local media server between two houses with a network engineer, cloud engineer, and a solution architect. And a solution architect. I might even specify how long the video is. Like, imagine somebody was like, they want to invest the time, they don't even want to click it. Give them an idea like how long it might be. So in this video, this is, there's an ad, so I don't know the length of it. Come on, Google, I know. Get Google certificates. But we'll go here. And so this is a two-hour video. So I might go back over to here. So just say, I might just suggest here, this is a 2-hour video. So 2-hour video, 2 hours. What else would be useful to know about this?
I mean, I feel like for somebody that's actually documenting work, like, I don't know if it's necessarily applicable for this, timestamps. Like if they're referring to specific topics or talking points, if they're trying to demo something and you are using this for somebody as a prospective employer to look at, if there's,
because you don't want them to waste their time. You want them to get to right to the point. Like, you know, there's like those, it's, you know, when you watch clips from podcasts on YouTube, you're trying to give them those clips. And so that's probably what you'd want to do to focus on. So here I can go to share at any point in here and say start at that point. And it'll actually give you the link specifically to that point. And so I'll go back over to here. And so I can go here. And I mean, obviously this is a 2-hour video. Like my suggestion was you want to do a demo that is like 5 minutes or less. I'm not being prescriptive in terms of the length of that, but I'm just telling you want to have a short video that kind of highlights it. Like basically all the content's here. But since I have a longer video, this kind of makes more sense that we are kind of honing in to say something very specific. So here, this might be, you know, final analysis of diagram, right? And I might even put the time code in here. This is 5150, watch for 3 minutes. And so it's making it very prescriptive of like what to do. So key highlights.
Yeah. I mean, if Tim is looking at the technical diagram here and he wants to see you walk through it, that right there just helped him do that. That immediately appeals to a hiring manager who doesn't want to watch that 2-hour video. Like you already, and again, Tim, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that puts you so much higher on the list of like, oh, this person is very well organized. Like this is getting to the point, this is saving me time. I already like where this is going. So again, just optics of how you like communicate the details. It's good.
I mean, straight up, if you sent me a 2-hour video and didn't have a timestamp in it, like I'm not going to waste my time. Straight up, I'm just going to move on to the next candidate. You know.
Oh, you got to think of it like an elevator pitch, like for startups, right? So, I mean, like the startup equivalent of elevator pitches. But I'm going to go here and I'm going to add my diagram here. So, again, I'm not saying like what I'm presenting is the best presented, but I'm just starting to get it shaped out because this stuff actually takes time, right? To media server network takes time to do that, and again, because we're technical folks, I think that it's important not only to present the information, but like all your files are named consistently and everything. Because if everything is kind of a bit of a mess, and someone technical is looking at it, they're going to pick up on it. But understand that different parts of the industry have different expectations of requirements. So sometimes you might want to align that stuff.
That's why I think it's important for people to be kind of documenting as you go, because again, you're building this out basically from scratch. So your learning is also going from scratch. So adapting it as you go forward and adding the pieces or taking out the things that don't work or adding those small things. Dan said it, being able to document in any tech field as you go is essential. I could not agree more. So.
And so even here, even though I have images here, what I'd probably do is extract out the text to make it even easier for people to find. Again, it's all about convenience. It's about uplifting this information to be as accessible as possible. But it does, again, take multiple iterations to get something like this. But anyway, we have now this diagram in here. And so I have this in the video. I architect this. So that is good. Highlights of the video. So there's that. I'm trying to think what else I might want to. I mean, we have these down here, technical justification. You might like if you wanted somebody to read about your technical justification, you might want to take again the hottest clip of that information, and then have them like read more about it. So I mean, what was the most Tim? Thinking back to week 1, if you remember anything from there, what's the hottest piece of information that we could uplift if it was like a single sentence?
The hottest piece of information.
The hottest.
Like, yeah, I'm trying to.
The most interesting. But I want to click
the
through.
Key, the key highlight. Yeah,
key highlight. Yeah.
I would say showing the traffic flow. Yeah, I'd say the part where we walk through the traffic flow after it's all set up, just to demonstrate understanding of how it works.
Well, here we talk about the media server. We say there's a media server, but we don't even talk about the business use case or anything in summary, right? And I think, like, again, it depends on why someone's looking at this page. So, yeah, it could be. It
does depend.
Actually, we tweak this here, and let's say instead of final analysis of the diagram, we'll say, what do you call it? Packet walkthrough. What'd you call it?
Yeah, packet walk or traffic flow. That's fine. Yeah, I'm trying to think. So if we're talking about like, we didn't really get into the business aspect of like why we're doing this. We were talking about how much we want to see completely legal videos.
Well, I think you make it appear about the traffic walk through the diagram, which is like, if you're a networking person and you jump to here, that's probably what they want to see first. Like, walk me through it, and they'd understand what it is. But like, I might want to load this and say like, okay, why are you building this? And again, this comes back to technical uncertainty and then outcomes. And like, to me, it's like all about domain knowledge. Like, what was the sticky part that you worked through and that you solved or didn't solve? And, whatever it is. So like, when we look at this network and we built this, what worked good about it or doesn't work about it? Like, what can be improved about it? So I'm just thinking about this here. I guess like this is fine. The one thing that stands out in this network is the fact that we have what do you call it? Like the IP addresses were overlapping or something, and we didn't have more complex infrastructure. How do we describe that, Tim?
Well, you didn't actually have overlapping IPs, or
no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, we have the potential for it because everything is just hard coded perfectly.
Or maybe you did actually. Right? I don't. It's been and that's been like a week. I'm trying to remember from the diagram.
Well, we got the diagram right here.
Yeah. Did we actually run the same IPs? Yeah, we did. We did have overlapping IPs. Yeah. So, in terms of like what we're going to document for that, just this, the technical challenges of an overlapping infrastructure, I guess, is what we're trying to show?
Well,
The
I
part
mean,
where we talked
my
about
point
that,
is
or
like I know I'm very fuzzy here, folks, because you really do have to feel your way through and try to figure out what it. Well, the white box. What's the white box, right? But
what's in the white
I'm
box?
trying to feel around to try to think like what is value and what would people want to hear or see. And like if
Yeah.
you're watching this, maybe as someone that was technical, they'd be like,
You want to know the
first
challenges.
they say, why did you do it this way?
Yes,
Right.
that's
And I
correct.
want to uplift that there. And so that's why I have technical justification journal. And
Okay.
so I'm just trying to have the
So
smallest tidbit to make them
yeah.
read more. And so I just say here,
Yeah, so like
technical
design
justification.
consideration is probably what I would
Design
use.
consideration too.
Design consideration is what I would say, and that's where you're going to put in your constraints. Like, what was and you're getting at why did I make the decision I made without saying like here's why I did it, right? Which you're saying it in a more professional way, basically. Like here were the things, the pieces, the edges of the puzzle within which I was working, and these are the things I had to account for as I built this.
And Ultraman saying like with IPv6 you'd have no more overlapping IP addresses. That sounds about right.
That's true. I mean, that's accurate.
Or it's very unlikely. But it must be routing else media server, otherwise it would not be reachable. So again, coming back to this, I'm just trying to think again what it is that I exactly want to describe. And so I want to have a full journal, right? Of everything in summary, but I don't want to overload somebody. And so I'm trying to give them a tidbit to click into it. So the design considerations, based on the scope of the, since the business use case
go ahead,
is fairly simple, we were able to we decided to use hard coded, or well, I don't know how you describe it, but just to keep it simple, we just had how would you word that? Really comes down to wording.
Yeah. So okay, in this case, there's a couple of considerations. One is the first one is that you're using RFC 1918 address. So I wouldn't necessarily say that. I would just say like, because our network is flat, we used a basic IP schema for both houses, which when built, we're not intended to be connected. And this is something
the point is this, like, I guess my thing is like when you have a hard time forming a paragraph or sentence that's comprehensible, what I like to do is break it down into bullet points into the smallest things and then try to roll it up, because it can be really hard sometimes to articulate stuff when there's so many ways that you can articulate. Is this like a resume where someone only spends 3 seconds on it? If they click on a repo, would they spend more time on it?
I would say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's literally what we're trying to do is stand out in the 3 seconds.
I think for this part, again, you kind of want to like do the what, the how, and the why. Okay. So, Tim had said we used a flat network using basic IP schema for both houses. So I would actually lead with the design consideration. We implemented the basic IP schema because it was a flat network.
Yeah.
Like,
accurate.
Like just flip it. Mm-hmm. And then put the details. So you're making the statement, then adding the supporting detail. The statement is what he sees, and then he wants to understand the why. Well, you did it because it was a flat network. You didn't think you were going to have to do anything past that, right. Like give the further. Yeah.
That's really, exactly. And then you can get into the consideration that, we have no, when you were talking about why you used tight, wireless bridging to connect to their houses together, it would be because, this lot is, I believe you specifically said you don't own the lot, and so you have you're not able to run cable or connect them via any kind of hardwire, right? And so that is why you chose to go with a wireless bridge as the connectivity model.
Yeah, and honestly, like for under design considerations,
Bago just wrecked my story. He's just like, no, we did own the lot. We're just too lazy to dig.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I mean, honestly, I probably would have done the same thing rather than trench.
Well, you know what? Was it? Sorry. Was it winter, Bago? It was. Oh well, you know what?
You're not going to get a shovel in that.
Because at the time. No, the ground is frozen.
Yeah, I believe you.
Right? Because,
I believe you.
Because it was winter, and we could not trench the frozen ground.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But wouldn't you want to say like, ideally you would have X solution? What was our solution here for this? Because we have the potential for overlapping.
Oh, I mean, if we're talking about the ideal, it'd be like ideally we would not have overlapping, networks between our two houses.
With what solution?
Well, no, you just wouldn't have it. There wouldn't be a
Okay,
solution.
okay. And so ideally we would run a wired line.
Yeah, wired line's fine. It could be fiber,
Okay.
it could be copper, whatever.
And so, I mean, this is still a little bit here, but like, to read full journal, I don't know. Or just like full technical journal.
Yeah.
And I might, what I might do, I might even give these headings. I always give headings, so it's like, why, what's the heading here again? Why overlapping?
I mean, if you're breaking out each individual consideration, then yeah, probably something like IP schema is probably what I would use. I would just use IP schema for that.
I guess I was trying to frame it like why not wired?
Yeah, I mean, but you say why, like immediately you say why. I don't know that you have to say why in that's just a personal preference thing.
Well, but I say it here and then we explain why. Okay. So like someone's looking at this diagram, I would go down and I would think that they might go look at this and go, okay, why are they doing it like this? And it says, why not the wired connection? Like answering the question that's in their head, so they're drawn to it. It's like why do the IP addresses overlap? Right? Or have the same, or why do the IP address why do they have the same IP address spaces in each house? You know what I'm trying to get at? I don't know how to word this first one, so this one's always kind of weird, but I know how to word that one. So I mean, that's what I would do. I don't know, Jason, you think that's junk or?
I personally wouldn't do it this way. Okay. I would read this though the way you're saying. Like if I were to just like get this link to this repo, this README, I would look at it. I wouldn't look at this and be like, oh, I don't get this. I would say that. So I'm not. I would maybe suggest just making a little more concise as far as like the titling. I don't necessarily think it needs that, but I think that this also accomplishes what we were saying is like a subject, like your problem, and then your bullet points. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm indifferent.
Yeah, honestly, it works either way. It's fine. Yeah, I think so as well. Yeah, it's fine.
I mean, I guess my point is like maybe I'm getting to this point, and this could be uplifted into this full technical journal here. Or another thing we could do is just have the headings here, so that I'm just trying to get to right away to answer people's questions, because when I've looked at a lot of stuff that's technical, I want to know like their choices like immediately. And if I just had like a list of bullet points as to like why they made those choices underneath, not necessarily the information here, but if I could click through and I wanted to read it, then it's readily accessible for me to make sense of it.
Well, I mean, if you're going to go about it that way, then I think as far as like for the journal, that could be sort of built into this section. So you put the chapters like less like the journal entry for why do we have the same IP addresses is your first one. Why not a networked connection? And then make those entries incorporate there with the lesson and the explanation. But then you're also still talking about your design considerations. I feel like it could be kind of tightened up. I see what you're saying. I think we could probably figure out how to make it flow a little bit better and also more cohesively, like incorporating more of the elements so that the information is more accessible too. It's like if that first one is why do they have the same IP address spaces in each house? There's like one line and then it goes to that journal entry breaking down the further detailed explanation, which again shows the proof of understanding it.
Yep.
So
yeah, I would agree with that.
The other thing is like we have these journals here, and I mean, if these aren't descriptive at a glance, you wouldn't know what they are and you wouldn't think to click through them, right? So we like in other boot camps we've had week 1, week 2, week 4. I know what they are, but if someone externally was coming out, then they might not see it. So I don't know. I guess I could see any kind of point of interest being rolled up like a table of contents in here. I guess I would have to think a little bit more about that structure there. But yeah, so I mean, I think we're getting a little bit farther with this. I might make an individual video where I might spend more time with this. I might not. I don't know. But hopefully we're trying to start getting to a better approach of how do we present our information. And so I'll just do this with a terrible commit message, and nobody give me a hard time about that commit message. But when you make your commits, give me good commit names. And I think I said this in the office hours, but I think early on I said, everybody, let's stick with lowercase underscore, and then immediately everything else I just named snake case. so I already failed my own boot camp, and that's always the joke I say. It's like, sometimes this stuff happens, but you are responsible for your mistakes, right? So I will not be receiving a badge for myself during this boot camp. So in terms of other kind of career advice stuff, is there anything, Jason, like different for how to approach job applications? Like, has the market been changing at all?
No, I mean, honestly, I'm not super familiar with like the networking side so much as I typically am working with developers, but I can't imagine it's any better. The market's flooded.
Garbage. Garbage too.
It's flooded. So it's like,
when we say it's garbage, what do we mean that it's garbage?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's the sense that for every one job, there's about 3,000 people that want it. Employers are getting,
if it's real.
Yeah. If it's real. Yeah. If it's a real job, they're getting inundated with applicants that are also not real. So both sides of it are kind of trying to play the system, and the process in general of taking sometimes months to get somebody onboarded doesn't help the employer, and it doesn't help the person that's trying to get the role either. The whole system's been messed up for a long time, but especially now on the hiring side, it's a challenge. We want everybody to have jobs, of course, but at the end of the day, the best way to stand out is to do a lot of these things that we're talking about, like creating content and exposure for yourself so you get on people's radar, making friends, doing networking, like reaching out, like connecting with Tim and then connecting with everybody that Tim knows, and building rapport, like showing the proof of work. Like, this is not just it's not like it was years ago where you could just click apply and you would get a call that same day for your first interview. It's not like that anymore. So you have to really start isolating yourself to focus on like the things that are going to broaden your exposure to everybody that could potentially hire you. I don't think, who was I listening to yesterday? I was in 100 Devs, and they had my friend Shay. She just got hired over at Google as a, I don't know, something engineer, but she talked about her whole story and getting there. And the person that got her in there, and she had applied 6 times, denied every single time, but she had made a connection with somebody at a conference that worked at Google. And that person like fought for her to get in. So after that 6 times, she finally got in. She's very happy. That was like the goal. But she wouldn't have got that by just cold applying. She wouldn't have got that by not also creating content and like repping what she knows all the time. So these are the things, like, especially now, it's different. You have to start taking those things into consideration. And playing Crusader Kings 2, brought to you by Ubisoft. No,
apparently that's very important.
There's a reason for this. So there's a game called Crusader Kings 2, and I love this game because it takes forever to play, and it's very intriguing, and you have to balance a lot of things. And so my friend Alex, who I don't know where he lives now, but maybe he lives in Cyprus. But I had introduced him to this game. I met him in Barcelona when he worked for developers in another company. But I got him addicted to this game, right? And then I know that he got an interview at Google, I think, because of Angular. Like, he was really into Angular framework, and he was very active there. And then he applied to Google, and he went the full route to get hired. And at the end of it, he just really wanted to know if he could get a job at Google. So he got all the way to the end, and he went, you know what, I actually don't want this job, but now that I've gone through the whole process, I don't want this job. And they said, well, who would you recommend? And they recommended me. And then I went through the whole process, and then they're like, yeah, we'll give you the job. And I said, well, I don't want the job either.
Oh my God.
But my point was,
Andrew, it sounds like you're part of the problem right now.
Well, maybe, but my point is that when you make friends with people over a game, right, and they know who you are and stuff like that, then sometimes they pass the torch over to you. And so connections can come from anywhere, right? And so I think that just being out there and making friends is really important, because you never, especially friends that are technical, because you never know who's going to connect you back to what, right? And so that's why I was saying that even though Crusader Kings 2 is a very lengthy and wasteful time game, it still led to possible opportunities. And, I think that's the approach that I think people need to take. But I know, like, again, my background is
playing the game?
Play video games. that will get you. What's wrong with that advice? I just said that, wasn't that clear? Go play video games.
That was the craziest ad placement I've ever seen, and I love it. I'm actually intrigued by that game now. I'm like, what?
That's a real. I mean, I can add it to the course. I haven't added any. I usually add like a junk video to the course. Well, originally this happened because one of my kids, when she was younger, she was on my YouTube and she would add things to the playlist to the boot camps. So now I just throw in videos randomly here. Yeah, AWS community does a fantastic job. So there's different communities where you can get connected, right? But like, my background was always a Rails developer. And like, I know when I look at these, I know which ones are actually hiring, not hiring, because the community is so small that when you get into a space, you can kind of tell from a distance, like, oh yeah, Thinkful, I know that they would want, this is how they would probably structure their Rails app. And these are the things I can highlight. And it's really weird that you can get down to the meta of knowing if they're ghosting or if they're doing a real job, if like what they're looking for, the way they write it. But this is because I know this niche really, really well. And so I'm not sure how that works in networking other ones. Like, Tim, do you have a sense of, like, in the networking space, do you have that kind of feel, feel when you're looking at the stuff? Or
we like to in networking, we like to say that networking isn't about networking, it's about networking.
I like that.
Like, it's a very tight knit community in networking. And yeah, like, I think the last 3 or 4, I think Chris said it last week too, the last 3 or 4 jobs I've gotten have been at least introduced to and gotten the opportunity to interview for by someone who worked there or knew someone who worked there or whatever. There was a connection. That's definitely the best way to do it.
Tom had asked, by creating content, do you mean, for example, creating a short video explaining a project and adding to your LinkedIn? Yeah. It doesn't have to be a video, though. If you're more comfortable in a written medium, write a blog post, do videos, build something out and just put it into GitHub and then post about it. Like, here's the README files that we're trying to help you guys build. Great demos of, again, proof of work.
Yeah.
These are great shareables. And if you want to do videos, that's fine. Like, if you're able to articulate to camera, and this is something with public speaking a lot of people have trouble with, but it's a learned skill. You can get better at it. And it'll also help you communicate to the people on the other side of the camera in these potential interviews. So if you can sit and articulate a point and walk somebody through one of these diagrams on a video, put together some pictures to go with it, something simple. It doesn't even have to be that big. Or even if just each week, back to my friend that works over at Google now, on her TikTok, that was all she was doing. It's like 1 or 2 minute videos talking about a core concept she just learned, and then doing some stuff about it just to show the proof of work. And that got on people's radars. So whatever you're comfortable with doing, I'm not bullish on any sort of thing, as long as you're putting something out there. If you were to send Tim a connection on LinkedIn and he was to go to your page and he saw some video that just like, wow, this guy knows what he's talking about. There it is right there. Like, those are those things that you want. So
when I'm building stuff, I'm always telling people about it because, first of all, I'm just excited and it attracts other folks that are really, really excited about the same things.
Mm-hmm.
And even though this post only has 3 post engagement, it's not about having high levels of engagement. It's about targeting the right people that want to hone in on what you're talking about, right? So like right now I'm porting, I built a Japanese language learning app that's separate from the GenAI Bootcamp. It's a more complex one that is very single. It's complex in the sense that it has more prompting work in it, but it's single focused. And so I wrote it in Python and React, and I'm porting over to Rails and my custom framework. But as I was working through it, I had a problem. So I'm always kind of broadcasting the challenges or stuff. And I do this so often that I can go through my history of Twitter and I can roll it up and then turn it into an article, right? So my point is that you don't have to do big things to do that stuff, but you do have to show progress over time, people that make video games, they have a developer log and they make a video showing what they're building, and they may have fun videos over time because they have to build up their audience to get people the time when they want people to buy it to do that. But I think focusing on a technically complex product, or start something small and just keep amping it up and getting it bigger. Like, imagine I was able to, imagine that I bought the church and eventually I made an entire serverless mesh. Do you know what I mean? Like that goes on my resume, right? Like, because it reaches a certain level of complexity, maybe some other town wants to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because I was able to achieve it. Like, there's just you create your opportunities by taking an idea, something simple, and you keep stacking to a level of complexity, so that you can showcase something. Because there's always a point to which people end up. You need to make something to a level of complexity that it's solving somebody else's problem that they wish that they had you as their employee, right? Now, of course, it doesn't work at really large companies because they don't care as much as the smaller companies. But smaller startups, they really like that kind of stuff, at least in my experience. But we only have 5 more minutes. We don't have to go all the way till 2 here. But does anybody have Jason? Do you have any parting words, or Tim?
I think just keep doing what you're doing. I would urge everybody to just start writing, just start putting to paper or text file or README, or just doing voice notes to yourself. Just work on practicing all of these skills. I mean, people in the chat were mentioning it. We've mentioned it the last couple of weeks. Like, documentation and communication are 2 of the most important things with working with other people. Like, regardless of where AI is, every single person you work with is still a person, and you have to be able to communicate with them in order to be in a team. So if you're not able to show that you have those skills or abilities, you are absolutely restricting yourself as to what you're potentially going to get. So that's all.
I hate documentation. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but there's I mean, you just have to figure out a way that works for you, right? Maybe it's you can do tweets and you can roll them up later, right? But at the end of the day, you still have to put the time and effort to explain what you did and to attract those folks. It's half the job. But then again, the biggest trap I've seen a lot of people fall in when they talk about learning in the open. This is when DevTO was really popular, and we can go over to DevTO. Is that people just started making every junk article you could think of. So DevTO, like, there's some really good articles, but they'd be like, I learned how do you install npm, right? If it's something that people have treaded the ground 100,000 times,
right,
we don't need that kind of stuff. And so that's why in our bootcamps, I'm so focused on trying to grow domain knowledge, which is stuff that is not easy to Google, right? So one example is that I'm porting my application from Python to Rails, and I'm using Open Router. Okay, and so Open Router, like in the AI space, almost everything is written in Python. So if you want to use it in Ruby, someone's got to write it themselves. And so I looked up Open Router, Ruby gem. Okay, and there's this one here by Obi. Obi is a really well-known Rubyist for 30 years, so I know I can trust this. But I used it; it didn't work. Now what do I do? Okay, and so I opened the code and I looked at it. And I saw that it was just Faraday, and it was like, which is just an HTTP server, and it was really simple. And so I ended up implementing my own solution because this wouldn't work. I just created domain knowledge. I use this thing. It does not work. I made new one. This is solution. And so other people are going to go the same path. They're like, I want to use Open Router on Ruby. I hit this. It doesn't work. Now what do I do? Right? And then they Google, like, it doesn't work because of this reason. And then your article comes up. Right, or they use LLMs, and maybe they show the references to yours, right? So that's where you're trying to get, is hit those things. If you found that you did something that you could not Google, right, or ChatGPT couldn't solve and led you in circles, then that's something that is possibly valuable. And unfortunately, LLMs really go in circles all the time for almost everything these days.
Sorry, real quick. I got honestly, I got most of my a lot of my early following when I was just building up followers was because I was one of the, so not a lot of people that knew Cisco SD-WAN right after Cisco had acquired Viptela and whatnot. I was posting about it, creating YouTube videos and stuff, and I get Point is, that was stuff you couldn't easily Google at that time, right? You couldn't find it. And so people were always finding my blog. They were always finding, YouTube. So yeah, definitely agree with what Andrew's saying. Do useful things. Don't just do goofy off the wall stuff because nobody will ever search for it. But do useful things that, like he said, is not easy to Google, I think.
I think something too to mention there is there's definitely a like two sides of all of this, and like what Dev 2 is now is a lot of people that are trying to monetize it and like use it as engagement and profitability. Like that's not necessarily what this is. You're using this as documentation for your journey. So you might not get 1,000 views. That's okay. That's okay. Because when a hiring manager does come across your stuff and it's a well-articulated, well-written, well-documented piece, the fact that 11,000 people or 11 people saw it isn't necessarily the case. So don't feel like you're restricted to it just because you won't get those types of numbers either. You should always just, again, still be doing it, because you also don't know where later on maybe this role transitions into something that is more like that for you. So you already have that done. So something to kind of consider.
And just like one more last example here is that Danny Thomas, and I think he's in the 100 devs, right, Jason?
Oh, Danny Thompson,
Danny Thompson, sorry.
Yeah.
And I remember, I used to write a lot of articles about like what are the distinctions between the different kinds of roles in cloud, because they're kind of fuzzy, and I would be more prescriptive in terms of like where I saw the boundaries. And every time he Googled it, he'd always see one of my articles. He's like, Andrew, I can't escape your articles. You're like the de facto person about describing these things, because no one else is writing about them, because people were constantly asking me like, what's the difference between an SA and a DevOps and whatever. And I just got tired of it. And so I think that blog's gone because I didn't renew the domain, but which I don't care. But my point is that if you couldn't find it anywhere, then you become the de facto person that everybody goes to. And you can find these niches in anywhere. At one point, this is like 2009, I was like the go-to person for like basic regular expressions that were common for very specific use cases in Rails. But I would get a lot of traffic because of it. So you don't have to do hard things. You just have to find things that are not being covered in a case there. But we're going to make our way over to after class Q&A. Thank you, Jason, for helping lead us through this career section here. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Tim, for dealing with my ridiculous use cases for my northern projects. But I hope that when you come up here that I will be able to deliver you a Canadian Pogo via drone.
Okay.
But we'll see how that goes. Thank you, everybody here. And we're going to make our way over to office hours in the Discord. Like that.
Bye, everybody.
In the lounge of my pop stars, hints and from those shared desire. Send wax the last of my wars. These farm through cars we fire. Then farm the whims and down our parts. Bees one that ever alien friends from distant sounds. Share we joy of the luck we brought. Amid the hum of machines, the glance with deals, two souls connecting in the cosmic wheels. A tree forged over flavors intertwines. Daily universe butterflies like the fires. Together we sway, stars in our eyes. Across galaxies wide, no halting skies. Left the echo in the empty aisles. Eclipse but sheds in a million losing right across the universe of sky. Will your sandwich could suffice to break the barriers now the ice? Once tossed our eyes, that's often by its smile. Cosmic jellies fade for just a little while. Under flickering lights in this humble place, our mighty probes transcend the time and space. In its lunge, not while we're still alive. Our mouths like evils, we still side by side. From beyond the stars, we both come to fall in peace within the hum and the hum. Eclipsed by shadow moons and right across the universal sky. For you, it's some which could suffice. to break the barriers, melt the ice.